In the summer of 1877, Lei Ting-chang became a father at the age of 30. Overjoyed, he named his firstborn son Lei Xianzai. Born into a long line of talented craftsmen, each child in the Lei family carried great expectations. Since moving to Beijing to join imperial projects in 1683 during the reign of Emperor Kangxi, this architectural family had persisted for nearly 200 years by 1876, when Lei Siqi, the sixth-generation heir, died of overwork. Lei Ting-chang, who had outstanding professional qualities, became the seventh generation. The Huiling tomb, built for Emperor Tongzhi, was the final imperial tomb constructed at the Eastern Qing tombs in Zunhua, Hebei province, in the time of the Qing Empire. It was also the last imperial project to involve both Lei Siqi and Lei Ting-chang. In 1873, the two dowager empresses who ruled the empire behind scenes withdrew from their political roles. This saw the Emperor Tongzhi, now aged 17, begin to govern independently. Yet within 2 years, Emperor Tongzhi had died of illness. This sudden turn of events led to a rush to construct his tomb. From groundbreaking to completion, the Huiling tomb took just 3 years to build. However, an unusual phenomenon has been discovered in this imperial tomb.
这是一张清东陵文物管理处收藏的这个样式雷惠陵中医录立样图。
The drawing that Li Yin, a research librarian, is showing is 390 centimeters long and 31.5 centimeters wide. It vividly depicts, in the style of traditional Chinese painting, the entire expanse of the Huiling tomb, from the 5-hole stone arch bridge on the left to the Hobao Mountain and eastern Shuangshan Valley on the right. But the design in the drawing is not exactly the same as the actual tomb. The drawing features 5 pairs of stone sculptures north of the bridge depicting, from south to north, a lion, an elephant, a standing horse, a warrior, and a civil official. Stone statues of people and animals are the norm in Qing imperial tombs, yet the Huiling tomb has no such sculptures. The fact that the Huiling tomb was not built with the stone statues as originally planned has led to much speculation. Yet the reason is actually not so complex.
这样一条神道，哎，再加上五堵十相生啊，这样一个工程是很巨大的呀。那么这个工程，我们现在算起来，它至少要再耗去100万两白银，这对于捉襟见肘的这个清政府财政来讲，无疑是雪上加霜。
While the Huiling tomb was under construction, work on the tombs for the two Empress Dowagers, An and Cixi, was also in full swing, depleting funds at an alarming rate. The huge expense to build the spirit path and stone sculptures forced the Qing court to make hard choices. As a result, the planned spirit path and stone sculptures for the Huiling tomb only ever existed in the Yangshi Lei's design drawings. While later generations speculate that the financial strain was merely Cixi's excuse, in the 4 years after the completion of the Huiling tomb, the Qing government's imperial construction projects gradually came to a standstill. As it relied on imperial projects, the Yangshi office was no longer as busy, causing the Lei family to temporarily lose its stable source of income. Eventually, in 1885, news arrived from the Forbidden City that excited the craftsmen in Beijing. The Qing government was about to start a new round of imperial construction projects. Lei Ting-chang, who for the past 4 years had been idle at home, finally had the opportunity to resume his ancestral craft.
在同治朝，雷霆昌已经得到了充分的学习和锻炼，而且家里边掌握了大量的一手的设计材料。所以说10几年后，皇家再搞工程，那肯定首选雷霆昌。
Thanks to the efforts of individuals like Zheng Guofan and Li Hongzhang in cultivating talent for Western affairs, establishing military industries and developing civilian enterprises, positive momentum was gradually building, bringing a brief resurgence of the fading Qing dynasty. Emperor Guangxu turned 16 in 1886, making him eligible to assume direct governance. When Emperor Tongzhi had assumed power 13 years earlier, he ordered the reconstruction of Yuanming Yuan, also known as Old Summer Palace, at the suggestion of Empress Dowager Cixi. However, despite Cixi's enthusiastic support, the project faced opposition from both the court and the public, and was halted in less than a year. After Emperor Guangxu assumed power, the idea of reconstructing imperial gardens resurfaced. Surprisingly, the first one to support Empress Dowager Cixi's reconstruction plan was none other than Yi Xuan, Prince Chuen, who previously had been strongly opposed to the project. Prince Chuen was the emperor's biological father and one of the most trusted ministers of the Empress Dowager. After his son's ascension to the throne, he began to formulate new plans. When Emperor Guangxu officially began his reign, Empress Dowager Cixi still held some power, though she mainly took a back seat. As the emperor's father, Prince Chuen was well aware Cixi was a constraint on Guangxu's independent rule. He believed that creating a beautiful garden for Cixi to live in and enjoy might see her relinquish her ambition to intervene in state affairs. With his son's interests in mind, Prince Chuen shifted his stance from opposing garden reconstruction to becoming a staunch supporter. This time the construction was for another spot, the Imperial Garden of Clear Ripples. The Garden of Clear Ripples, east of Jade Spring Hill in the northwest of Beijing and west of Old Summer Palace, was built in 1750 by Emperor Qianlong at great expense as a tribute to his mother. Compared with other imperial gardens, it is moderately sized with a unique mountainous landscape and water system.
为什么重修圆明园失败之后，到了光绪朝，他在重修园子的时候，他没有选择圆明园，而选择了重修清漪园？那就是因为清漪园的山水格局特别能够体现那种皇家的气势。你比如说佛香阁啊，只要佛香阁起来了，你在昆明湖上一看，哎，这个感觉就有了。
Quanming Lake is the largest water area in the Garden of Clear Ripples. During Qianlong's reign, it was used for naval drills. After a series of defeats in external wars, the Qing court recognized the need for a modern navy and allocated most of its financial resources to building one.
他的财政非常困难，这个就需要一些其他的一些办法，想一些变通的办法啊。于是呢，就想用当时中国最有钱的部门，就是海军啊。中国当时正在学习西方啊，这个为了抵御侵略啊，这个要打造坚船利炮，最花钱的就是海军建设。
In September 1886, Prince Chuen requested the restoration of the old naval training system in Quanming Lake. He also declared that, for the convenience of Empress Dowager Cixi when observing naval exercises, the damaged buildings around the lake should be repaired. Cixi tacitly understood and promptly approved his request. The extensive renovation project of the Imperial Garden of Clear Ripples was set to begin, and unsurprisingly, Lei Tingchang was appointed as its chief architect. For the first time in a long while, his heart was filled with excitement. The third and fourth generations of the Yangshi Lei family had participated in the original design and construction of this garden. The well-preserved architectural drawings by the Lei family allowed him to draw inspiration from the ingenious design ideas of his ancestors. Like his predecessors, he wanted to create innovative, enduring masterpieces. The Garden of Clear Ripples was in a state of dilapidation. While the 17-arch bridge survived the Great Fire of 1860 thanks to its white marble material, the stone balustrades at the bridgehead were severely damaged. The pine and cypress trees on top of Longevity Hill were almost gone. The granite steps leading to the lost pavilion of the fragrance of Buddha were partially collapsed. And the Baoyun bronze pavilion was covered in overgrown grass. More than 2 decades after the destruction of this imperial garden on the outskirts of Beijing, Lei Tingchang stepped into the desolate garden of clear ripples and examined the damage. The scene of black smoke and raging flames from 26 years earlier still lingered in his mind. Now, he could only remeasure the surviving foundations and, with the help of the archival drawings, restore the lost buildings step by step. To prevent the large-scale reconstruction project from causing upheaval in court and society, Empress Dowager Cixi was extremely cautious in rebuilding the Garden of Clear Ripples. In early 1888, a year and 4 months into the project, the Qing government officially announced the reconstruction and renamed the garden the Summer Palace. In the plans for the Summer Palace, according to a decree from the Empress Dowager, all the destroyed buildings had to be rebuilt with better quality and craftsmanship. With a limited budget, Lei Tingchang racked his brains for ingenious solutions for the reconstruction. This photograph, taken by journalist Felice Beato on the eve of the Garden of Clear Ripples' destruction in 1860, features Tanhua Pavilion. Situated in a commanding position on the eastern slope of Longevity Hill, it was named after its floor plan that resembled a blooming flower, the Queen of the Night. To reconstruct Tanhua Pavilion, Lei Tingchang prepared at least 3 designs. The first design condensed the structure from 3 floors to 1, maintaining the original star-shaped floor plan. The second simplified further, eliminating the fence gate and decorative base.
其实央视雷也觉得，哎，这个六角星星的平面很有意思，但是呢，确实你在这儿做一个这样的一个格，花钱又很多，就是也考虑到这个经费的问题呢，就是说能不能把这个简化处理改成一个功能性更强的，就是因为毕竟慈禧以后是要在这儿进行原居活动的。
Considering visual effects, budget and practicality, Lei Tingchang abandoned the star-shaped plan, opting for a more practical single-story cross shape. Since it no longer resembled a flower, the pavilion was renamed Jingfu Hall. The grass pattern on the outer wall was replaced by a traditional Buddhist swastika pattern, symbolizing prosperity and well-being, consistent with the pavilion's theme. This is a fine drawing from the Yangshi Lei archives depicting the Fuyin Pavilion designed by Lei Tingchang. Fu Yin Pavilion, formerly Sanxiu Pavilion, was initially designed with 3 floors. Due to budget limitations, Lei Tingchang had to reduce the number of floors, but he ingeniously transformed the flat roof into one resembling an unfolded scroll. Special stone steps were also designed on both sides of the pavilion, allowing direct access to the top for viewing. Such a design is both practical and aesthetically pleasing.
其实就像一个打开的书一样的，就是形式呢非常的有意思，就是非常有园林味儿。虽然不是3层的房子了，但是它一样能起到这个观景的效果。
Lei Tingchang invested great effort in retaining a balanced and elegant design for numerous scenic buildings in the Summer Palace reconstruction, all while scaling down the size to reduce costs. Despite the limited budget, the Empress Dowager insisted on the higher standards for the construction of palaces and political venues in the Summer Palace. In the Hall of Benevolence and Longevity interior, Eve's decoration drawings, a yellow paper note reads, "According to the imperial decree, the decorative pattern should be exquisite." It explicitly records Empress Dowager Cixi's strict requirements for the palace architecture.
732，
732，
在我们样式类图纸里记载是2尺3寸，我们刚才量的尺寸基本上跟它是一致的。
Experts from the Summer Palace Management Office found by comparison that the final effect of the interior eaves decoration in the Hall of Benevolence and Longevity is even more intricate and exquisite than in the Yangshi Lei's design drawings.
图上看花罩好像只有松枝儿和仙鹤，但是在实际当中呢，我看它更丰富了，内容有寿桃、松枝儿、蝙蝠，还有仙鹤。这个改动也是符合了我们这个花样要玲珑的这个要求。
哦，对，就是工匠可能后来又照着这个瓷器的要求进行了修改，
了一些改动。
The Hall of Benevolence and Longevity was where Cixi held court sessions and managed state affairs, comparable to the Hall of Supreme Harmony in the Forbidden City, underscoring its importance. Whether it was the Hall of Benevolence and Longevity or Cixi's residence, the Hall of Joyful Longevity, the interior decor reflected her preference for intricate ornamentation without compromising practicality. Obviously, the experienced Lei Tingchang was adept at grasping the aesthetic tastes of his client. The hall that dispels the clouds, located on Longevity Hill, in front of the pavilion of the fragrance of Buddha, was intended by Cixi to be the venue for celebrating her birthday and receiving congratulations. As for the interior decoration of the hall, Lei Tingchang adopted a partition and semi-partition approach, dividing the hall into different spaces and areas. This ensured both the flow and openness of the space while decorating and beautifying the hall.
现代建筑学西方建筑史的时候，有一个概念叫流动空间，但实际上这种室内空间的这种流动性啊、连通性，实际上中国古代一直是这样的。
The hall that dispels the clouds became the most central and monumental complex on Longevity Hill. Along with the pavilion of the fragrance of Buddha, it became a symbol of the summer palace. During the Summer Palace's reconstruction, Cixi's top priority was to build a stunning theatre to satisfy her taste for opera.
因为慈禧大家都知道，她特别喜欢听戏，和咸丰的爱好相似，而且自己有时候还登台演出，然后在宫里面还搞了一个专门的戏班。所以说她在重修颐和园的时候就提出了这样的一个设计要求。
There were several opera houses in Qing imperial palaces, but Lei Tingchang did not want to simply replicate the designs of his predecessors. After careful consideration, he transformed the conventional eye-shaped dressing room building into a convex shape. This innovative layout expanded the backstage space to accommodate more actors and props and allow for more complex theatrical effects. The Grand Theatre project eventually turned out to be a vast building complex covering 3,851 square meters. The theatre stands at a height of 22.73 meters and is divided into 3 floors. Courtyards connect the stage areas to allow for the setting up of ingenious mechanisms and stage effects. The adjacent 2-story dressing room building in the south serves as a huge backstage area. The Grand Theatre's scale and size were unprecedented in Chinese history. Named the Garden of Virtue and Harmony, it was known as the largest opera house of the Qing dynasty. It became one of Lei Tingchang's representative works. Lei Tingchang must have been exhausted on busy days during reconstruction of the Summer Palace, but he also experienced a long-lost sense of achievement. Despite knowing the Qing government's financial difficulties, he cherished the opportunity to showcase his inherited architectural skills. Following the tradition in the Yangshi Lei family, he had his son Lei Xiancai by his side. While studying at school, Xiancai honed his skills and expanded his knowledge through successive imperial projects. Education was a top priority for the Lei family, and they never took it lightly. There are copybooks from Lei Xiancai's youth in the Yangshi Lei archives housed at the National Library of China. On a daily basis, he would transcribe classics and write his personal reflections around the text. This is an artwork by Lei Xiancai when he was a boy that shows his exceptional talent for painting. Lei Xiancai was confident, talented, and idealistic, enjoying success at an early age. He firmly believed that by dedicating himself to studying and painting and mastering more skills, he'd have a bright future. While Lei Tingchang found solace in his son's remarkable talents, he also worried about the future of the Lei family. The Qing Empire, to which his ancestors had dedicated everything, was like a tottering building on the verge of collapse. As a result, the glory and dreams of the Lei family were fading away. In 1894, Empress Dowager Cixi celebrated her 60th birthday. The previous attempt to rebuild the old summer palace to mark the occasion did not work out. This time, the plan for a grand ceremony in the newly reconstructed summer palace appeared to be on track. However, Cixi's birthday celebration plan was once again disrupted by conflict. On July 25, 1894, the Sino-Japanese War broke out, ending with the complete destruction of the Qing Empire's Beiyang fleet. Qing society was thrown into turmoil. In 1900, the Eight-Nation Alliance invaded Beijing, forcing Cixi to retreat from the summer palace and flee once more. Imperial buildings in and around Beijing were again destroyed. Further devastating news soon came for Lei Tingchang. Lei Xianhuai, his 20-year-old daughter, had died of illness while on the run. Seven years later, Lei Tingchang, the seventh generation of the Yangshi Lei, passed away. Empress Dowager Cixi and Emperor Guangxu both died in 1908. A grand dream had come to an end. Cixi was buried at the Ding Dong Mausoleum, the construction of which she had personally supervised. In the waning days of the Qing dynasty, Lei Xianzai, the eighth and final generation of the Yangshi Lei family, continued to work hard, but his output no longer exhibited innovation and creativity. When the Qing government began its attempts to implement top-down constitutional reforms, Lei Xianzai undertook the design of the naval office and attempted to adapt himself to the new aesthetic preferences. Due to the limited budget, however, the buildings in his drawings were never built. He also participated in the construction of the Chongling tomb of Emperor Guangxu. But after that, no more works were presented to the public. In 1912, following the downfall of the Qing dynasty, the business of imperial architectural design was ended for good. The once promising young talent found himself jobless in the prime of life. Lei Xiantai died in depression.
就我们找不到就是更多的这种材料去支撑说它后面到底怎么样了，但至少从家谱中能够看到，可能就是默默无闻的，然后最后就走完了这一生。
In difficult times, when people were barely making a living, the Lei family quickly declined. Not one of the descendants of the Lei family has continued the profession of their ancestors. The craftsmanship that was passed down through the family for more than 200 years was lost. Fortunately, when Yangshi Lei's descendants decided to sell the architectural drawings left by their ancestors, Zhu Qiqian, founder of the Society for Research in Chinese Architecture, dedicated his efforts to protecting the precious heritage of the Lei family in troubled times. Zhu likely foresaw the importance of the Yangshi Lei archives. Yet he might not have anticipated the profound impact these valuable relics would have on future generations. After an interruption of over 100 years in the architectural design business of the Yangshi Lei family, the staff from the Palace Museum's Department of Architectural Heritage began to restore the lost craftsmanship of the 3D architectural landscape model created by the Qing court's Yangshi office. 3D architectural landscape models, Tangyang in Chinese, were used by craftsmen in the Yangshi office to show the decoration design of a building and interior eaves. The preserved model of the Lei family not only displays the dimensions and structure of the building, but also reflects detailed design information, including color painting, oil decoration, interior design, and even the outdoor landscape.
它有一个非常全面的展示，你可以非常直观地理解到整个这个建筑的建成效果，这个是我们一般的建筑模型所不能达到的。
After scientifically analyzing the preserved model from the Lei family, researchers in the Department of Architectural Heritage were able to develop a full set of techniques for recreating 3D architectural landscape models. This signifies a deeper understanding of the workflow and organizational methods for Qing construction projects from design to construction.
中国 古代再往上溯呢，它也有这个制作木样的传统，但是大家都没有发明出这么一种如此综合、如此全面，然后如此有效和直观的把一个建筑完整的表达出来的这么一个设计媒介。所以应该说，这个是中国清代工匠的一个独特的贡献。
这是
样式雷，
这是一个样式雷，
对，样式雷，好像是不是他之前裱过，是太脆了还是怎么着？
翻过来吧。
The National Library holds the largest collection from the Yangshi Lei archives. It has been continuously organizing and restoring these precious artifacts for nearly a century. For convenience, the academic community now collectively terms all drawings and documents related to the Yangshi Lei as the Yangshi Lei archives. Within these archives are not only 3D models and architectural drawings, but also written records of the methods and progress of projects, along with the Lei family's correspondence. These archives contain extremely rich information, serving as first-hand historical materials for studying ancient Chinese architecture and valuable documents for studying the history of the Qing dynasty. They are simply irreplaceable. After 1930, when Zhu Qiqian started collecting the vanishing Yangshi Lei archives, generations of scholars began dedicating themselves to in-depth research on these archives. They have worked tirelessly to uncover China's architectural design concepts within these records.
因为它的价值太丰富，需要我们重新认知。这我也是投入到今年整整40年，为什么欲罢不能？乐此不疲，就是因为它有这么巨大的潜力和吸引力。
它是国宝，因为它只有它见证了当时的设计，它一定是国宝。
就是它所具备的意义本身，就是应该是说，就像一把通往过去世界的钥匙吧。它给了我们非常多的信息。
我们一直想探求的就是中国古人是不是有设计想法和思路。
可以说没有这些图，我们对中国可能古代建筑的一些设计还存在着一些误解，或者说不够深入的地方。
它是中国流传下来的，就是具有这个唯一性、系统性、完整性、手稿性质的这样的一个建筑图档。
In 2007, the Yangshi Lei archives were included in UNESCO's Memory of the World Register, making this precious source of wisdom in ancient architectural design a shared resource for people around the globe. More than 300 years ago, during the first generation of the Yangshi Lei, 64-year-old Lei Fada decided to move his family to the imperial capital. All signs indicated that he and his children were destined for great things. Those years marked an era of prosperity for the Qing dynasty, as well as the final peak of ancient Chinese architecture. Lei Fada could not have anticipated that his descendants would become so deeply involved in imperial projects, enjoy good fortune, and gain great fame. He also could not have anticipated that the top-class imperial gardens, into which his country had invested so many resources and for which countless craftsmen had exhausted their efforts, would face repeated calamities. The Yangshi Lei family witnessed the rise and fall of the Qing dynasty. Over the course of 2 centuries, with talent, diligence, and perseverance, generations of the family engraved their name on world cultural heritage sites that still exist in China today. They left behind stunning works, enhancing China's cultural landscape. While shooting on location, our film crew was deeply moved by the magnificent scenes we captured. Perhaps in some moments, the Lei family architects who surveyed the site many years ago were captivated by the same beauty. The Yangshi Lei family is long gone, yet its work lives on. The family's beautiful stories are full of history and life. They are always waiting to be told.